Let me take you deeper into what I just told you, because this isn't just about a fruit or a meal. This is about the silent choices that shape whether you live with vitality or whether your life is cut short in ways that leave your family asking why. When I mentioned that papaya can be medicine or poison, depending on how you use it, some of you probably thought, that sounds exaggerated. But let's think about it. Every single thing you put in your body sets off a chain reaction. It's never just food passing through. It is information. It's a signal to your gut, to your bloodstream, to your brain. Your body listens to everything you feed it. And depending on what you mix together, your body either receives clarity and balance or confusion and chaos. Papaya is one of those fruits with extraordinary potential. It is rich in enzymes like papain, compounds designed to break down protein, to soothe inflammation, to help your body clean out the damage of everyday living. On its own, papaya is a healer. It can reduce bloating, improve digestion, even support immune defenses. But when you combine papaya with the wrong foods, those same enzymes turn against you. Instead of aiding digestion, they ferment with proteins and starches, causing toxic buildup, releasing chemicals that irritate the stomach lining, stressing the pancreas, and making the blood less efficient at carrying oxygen. Now imagine being 70, 80, even 90 years old. Your body no longer has the same recovery power it once had. What a 20-year-old can shrug off, a senior cannot. That same toxic storm can weaken the heart, trigger blood clotting, or cause the gut to inflame so badly that nutrients no longer absorb properly. The body begins to starve on the inside, even while you are eating every day. This is why the wrong food combination, something as simple as papaya with a heavy meat dinner, can spiral into a health crisis faster than anyone expects. And here's the deeper truth. Most people do not see it happening because it doesn't always happen suddenly. It builds. Every wrong meal is a small cut, an invisible wound. You don't notice it in the moment, but those wounds stack up. Day after day, month after month, year after year. They quietly eat away at your strength until one day the body simply gives out. People call it sudden, but in reality, it was silent neglect all along. This is why I say that papaya is not the villain. Ignorance is the villain. Not knowing how to respect the power of food is the villain. Because knowledge gives you freedom. And once you understand the truth, you no longer make choices in the dark. You step into the light of awareness. You begin to see food not just as calories, not just as tradition, but as chemistry, as medicine, as the building blocks of your tomorrow. Psychologically, this requires a shift. Most seniors think in patterns. I've eaten this way all my life, and I'm fine. But that thinking is dangerous because age changes the rules. What your body tolerated at 40, it cannot tolerate at 70. Your metabolism is slower, your organs are more fragile, your cells are less forgiving. So the same plate that once seemed harmless can now shorten your life. If you fail to adapt, you pay the price. But if you evolve, if you learn and apply this wisdom, you gain back control that so many seniors believe they've lost. Philosophically, think about this. Life is not stolen from us by great disasters alone. Life is stolen in the smallest ways, by the subtle errors we repeat without awareness. Death does not always come like a thunderstorm. Often it comes like a slow leak in the roof, unnoticed until the ceiling caves in. And food is one of the most powerful leaks of all. So what should you do? Respect papaya. Respect food. Eat it in the way nature intended. Clean, simple, unburdened by the heaviness of meats or the congestion of dairy. Allow its enzymes to heal instead of clash. Recognize that eating is not only about pleasure, it is about survival, about vitality, about choosing life every single day. And remind yourself, you cannot undo decades of neglect overnight, but you can begin correcting it with the very next bite. I want you to hold on to this thought as you leave here. Today, your body is not failing you. It is waiting for you to stop failing it. Every choice is either poison or medicine. Every plate is either life or decay. And when you realize that even something as ordinary as papaya can tip the scales, depending on your awareness, you will never again take a single bite for granted. That, my friends, is the power of truth. And the only question left is, Now that you know, what will you do with it? When we talk about food combinations, most people underestimate just how much of an impact they have. They think nutrition is just about what you eat, but the truth is the how and the with what matter just as much, and sometimes even more. You can have the most powerful healing food in the world, but if you combine it incorrectly, you neutralize its benefits. Or worse, you weaponize it against your own body. Think of it like this: your body is not a blender where everything just mixes and disappears. It is an orchestra, a symphony of chemical reactions playing together. Every single bite of food enters this orchestra like a musician carrying a certain instrument. Some instruments harmonize beautifully together, creating balance, rhythm, flow. But others, when played together, create noise, conflict, and eventually destroy the music. The problem is most seniors don't hear the noise inside. They don't see the conflict in the gut, in the bloodstream, in the cells. But the body does, and it pays the price. Take papaya as an example again. Alone, it is a healer. But pair it with protein, rich meat, and suddenly, the enzymes that should be aiding digestion begin to clash with heavy proteins. Instead of smoothly breaking food down, your stomach becomes a battlefield. Fermentation begins. Gas builds. The digestive system slows. And what happens when the digestive system slows? Waste sits longer. Toxins linger. The gut lining becomes inflamed, and that inflammation doesn't just stay in your gut. It travels. It moves through the bloodstream, reaching your brain, your heart, your joints. That is how one bad combination at the table can ripple out to the rest of the body. Now here's where it gets even more serious. Seniors live in a body that is less forgiving. Think of a young body like a fresh elastic band. It stretches, it snaps back, it adapts. But an older body is like an elastic band that has been stretched too many times. It is more fragile, more brittle, less able to recover. So when seniors combine foods improperly, the recovery window is smaller, the damage is greater, and the results are far more dangerous. And yet, no one teaches this. Doctors rarely talk about food combinations. Nutrition labels don't warn you. Families don't think about it. Seniors go on believing that healthy food plus healthy food equals health. But that's not always true. The wrong pairings can turn even the healthiest foods into a toxic trap. This is where philosophy comes into play, because the real question isn't just what foods you should avoid mixing. It's about awareness. Are you conscious of what you are putting into your body, or are you eating on autopilot? Do you pause before you build your plate, or do you pile things together because that's the way it's always been done? The truth is, most people eat without thinking. They eat by tradition, by culture, by habit, and in doing so, they hand over their health to chance. But here's the powerful shift. The moment you begin to look at food as chemistry, as energy, as a message to your body, you step into mastery. You stop being a victim of silent mistakes. You stop shortening your life with invisible errors, and you start to live in alignment with the biology that keeps you alive. Let me make this crystal clear. Every plate is a decision. Every meal is a vote. You are voting for life or for decay. You are voting for strength or for weakness. And when you understand that papaya plus heavy protein is not just a bad meal, it is a chain reaction leading toward inflammation, toxicity, and decline, you realize that you hold more power than you thought. Think of the man who lived 71 years, strong and capable, only to collapse from what seemed like nothing. To his family, it was shocking. To his doctors, it was a surprise. But to his body, it was the final straw in years of food decisions that silently wore him down. That is the real tragedy, that he never knew, that he never had the chance to change. You, however, do know. You are hearing this now. And that awareness is your responsibility. Because the body is always listening, it is always responding. And when you feed it combinations that clash, it suffers. When you feed it combinations that harmonize, it thrives. So I want you to remember this food is not just about survival, it is about alignment. Align your meals with the way your body works, and you give yourself the gift of more years, more energy, more clarity. Ignore it, and you gamble with your life every single day, the truth is simple, but it is also profound. Never mistake silence in the body for safety. Just because you don't feel it right away doesn't mean it isn't hurting you. By the time you feel it, it may already be too late. So, respect the combinations, respect the chemistry, and above all, respect yourself enough to choose wisely. Because the difference between life and death is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is as small as what you decide to eat together on your plate. Now let's go even deeper, because this is where most people miss the truth entirely. It's not only about the single mistake of eating papaya with the wrong foods. It's about what those mistakes do when they repeat day after day, silently shaping the body's destiny. The tragedy of so many seniors is not that one meal takes their life, but that years of meals quietly drain their life force until the body is too weak to withstand one final blow. Think about it like a slow leak in a dam. A tiny crack doesn't cause the flood immediately. The water still flows, the structure still stands, but each drop of pressure, each unaddressed weakness makes that dam less stable. Then one day, without warning, the whole thing bursts. People call it sudden, but in truth, it was years in the making. That is exactly how the body works with food. Silent damage builds, and then one moment exposes everything. Papaya, as we've said, is not the villain. It's the misuse of it, the lack of awareness, the careless combinations that create chaos. Over time, when enzymes are forced to clash against the wrong foods, inflammation doesn't just happen in the gut. It spreads systemically. And systemic inflammation is the hidden thread connecting almost every major disease of aging. Heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, dementia. These are not random strikes of bad luck. They are the echo of years of micro decisions at the dinner table. Now, pause with me and reflect on this. How many times have you eaten something without thinking about what it was mixed with? How many times have you treated food as nothing more than taste or tradition? The reality is, most seniors don't think in terms of chemistry. They think in terms of habit, and habit, when it is misaligned with biology, becomes the slow poison that cuts life short. This is why awareness matters so much, because awareness shifts your relationship with food from unconscious repetition to conscious choice. When you begin to see food as information, when you recognize that every bite is a message you send to your body, you reclaim the power you may have thought was gone with age. Seniors often believe that their health is predetermined, that decline is inevitable. But it is not inevitable. It is conditional. It is shaped by choices, and choices can always be changed. Philosophically, this becomes even more profound. We live in a world where people are terrified of sudden death, of collapse without warning. But few realize that sudden collapse is almost never sudden. It is the consequence of ignoring the small signals the body has been whispering for years. Fatigue, bloating, stiffness, restless sleep. These are not just signs of aging. They are warnings. They are your body saying, change the way you live, or I will change it for you. And if you ignore them long enough, the change your body chooses may be irreversible. What does this mean for you, sitting here listening right now? It means you cannot afford to treat food casually. You cannot afford to pretend that mixing papaya with heavy proteins or dairy is harmless. You cannot afford to keep telling yourself, I've done this for years and nothing has happened. Because something has happened. You just haven't felt the full cost yet. Here's the empowering truth. The same way bad habits accumulate harm, good habits accumulate healing. If you begin today to respect combinations, to eat papaya on its own, to give your body space to absorb its enzymes and heal, you create the opposite effect. Instead of silent inflammation, you create silent repair. Instead of hidden toxicity, you create hidden strength. Day by day, the body becomes less burdened, more efficient, more resilient. And that resilience is what allows you to keep living, not just longer, but with energy, clarity, and dignity. I want you to picture this. Imagine waking up and not feeling heavy after meals. Imagine your digestion working smoothly, your energy sustained, your sleep more restful. Imagine a body that feels aligned rather than inflamed. That is not a dream reserved for the young. That is the reward of seniors who choose awareness, who choose respect, who choose to no longer mix recklessly, but to eat in harmony with how the body was designed to function. And that's the essence of what we're talking about. This is not just about food. It's about respect. Respect for the miracle of your body, respect for the years you've been given, respect for the time you still have left. When you respect food, you respect life. When you respect life, you stop treating your health like an accident waiting to happen, and you start treating it like the masterpiece it was always meant to be. So let this truth stay with you. Sudden collapse is never sudden. It is the final chapter of a book you've been writing with your fork every single day. If you want a different ending, you must start writing differently now. Because the question is not whether food has power. The question is whether you are willing to use that power to build life, or whether you will let unconscious choices take it away. That decision is in your hands, and every bite is your answer.